right, so drum breaks versus one shots. What is best, or when do I use one versus another? The last few videos that you've seen me upload, I'm using drum breaks. Drum breaks to me is a go-to when I have records that I want to start chopping up and start saving as sample programs. I mean, it's something that gets me moving fast, but the only downside about when I use drum breaks is my mix is not as clean as when I'm using one shots, since with the one shots, I have more flexibility when it comes down to mixing. If I need to lower down the hi-hat or the kick, I can do that. Versus drum breaks, it is what I receive, and that's what I'm gonna commit to. In this video, I'm gonna build a track using one shots for my drums, but I want to show you my process. As I always talk about in my videos, that my process is very simple. I don't overcomplicate things, especially when I'm putting together a sequence. I'm not trying to spend an hour on just putting together my drums. I'm just trying to get the track or the sequence moving to the point where I can listen to a groove and start digging through some records and sampling into my MPC. Once I have my sample chops and those drums moving together, later on when I have the skeleton of my beat, if I want to go back to those drums and start adding some ghost kicks or some ghost snares, I can get fancy and start getting creative and take my time in that process. But as I'm building this sequence, I move as fast as I can, as long as I can feel the sequence moving the way I want it to. Real quick, if you are new to the MPC and need extra help with figuring out this machine, I do have a course that will walk you through the MPC 3.0 version and also MPC 2.0. So it's the two versions in the same course. So if you need that extra help, feel free to sign up as we go through step by step building a track from start to finish. Link down in the description. Also, if you are going to pick up any audio gear, an MPC, cables, microphone, I will have a link to Zounds if you want to support this channel without costing you anything extra. Go ahead and shop using some of my links. The way I build my drum kits on a track, I like to audition. I like to listen. I don't have a reference. Sometimes I will start with a sample, so I'm listening to the sample as I'm auditioning what kick and snare is going to sound right for me. In this case, I don't have a sample yet. I'm gonna start with drums. All right, so I'm gonna just start right here with this track number one, go to browse, and right here, I could just select a pad. Notice how it lights up green, letting me know that wherever is green lit up, if I want to select a certain sound and hit load, it's going to load into that green pad. I like to create my kicks or my kits and put all my kicks in this first row, my snares, my hi-hats, and my percussion. That's just the way I like to build my kits as I'm putting one shots. It might be different for you. And as I'm doing this process, I'm just loading up any kick that sounds cool to me. I don't care if it sounds dark and punchy or high end. I'm just loading up anything that inspires me, and I'll have it right here queued up. Same thing with my snares and hi-hats, so on and so on. Because I like to have different variations, different references as I'm starting to build my sample chops. If I feel like the kick that I selected was a little too dark, I might have a higher pitched or punchier kick up here that I can swap it for. So look, I'm gonna start off with this Tane Kings Volume 2. This, I will leave a link somewhere right here if you guys want to pick up the sample pack. That's where I'm going to be using my one shots. If you guys have anything else, feel free to use whatever you guys have in hand. Go in here. They have one shots, compositions, melodic effects, and percussive loops, drum breaks. But I'm going to go to the one shots, and I'm going to go and start off with kicks. I'm gonna just audition some of these kicks. If I go to audition, it has audition set to auto. I'm gonna bring up the volume right here, turn this out, and just start listening to kicks. All right, so I'm trying to speed through this process because this can take a while, but I'm just going through each individual kick. I don't want to miss out on anything that sounds really good, but is hidden all the way at the bottom. Oh, I like that snare. I'm going to load that right there. I like that snare as well. That one sounds nice too. All right, so we got a few snares. I'm gonna bank out and do the same thing with the hi-hats. I know it's repetitive, but take your time. I'm filming this video. I'm trying to move through this fairly quick, but when you're doing this process, take your time, because this is either going to make or break your track. When it comes down to mixing, look, I'm using this in standalone, so I don't have the luxury of thousands of plugins on my computer. I gotta really do the heavy lifting as I'm selecting which one shots I'm going to select or pick. All right, so we have a kit, a drum kit right here. If you guys even want to go to menu, I could go to pad color and color all of my kicks purple, single pad, all of my snares red, or let's make these orange, and all of my hi-hats blue. There we got a kit that we just built, and we have different snares, kicks that we can use. Now, to start putting this together on the grid, again, I chose a BPM of 83 beats per minute. I'll start off with the kick and snare, very simple boom bap swing. What I like to do is start off with quantization. So you guys notice the boom, bap, that is quantized on the grid. And then once I have that foundation, the downbeats locked in, I'll go to Shift TC, where I'll turn off quantization, and the hi-hats and the ghost kicks, I'll leave that at my own swing. I like this hat right here. I'll go to 16 level velocity, make sure this is on velocity, hit record, make sure quantize is turned off, and let's lay that down. All right, so simple boom bap beat. Now I turn off 16 level velocity. I can start adding this. Make sure TC is turned off. Overdub, record. Bam. All right, and now the second kick, I'm gonna add that. All right, so that's it right there. We have a simple beat at 83 beats per minute. I can go right here, and my hi-hat is a little too loud. In this lower right-hand corner, I'm gonna go from the 4 individual pads to the single pad channel strip mixer, and I'm gonna lower down this hi-hat. Now, I don't know how experienced you are on the MPC. I know if you're a complete beginner, it seems easy, right? You guys see me going through this, and I'm trying to switch up the style of editing for my videos. I know I've gotten a lot of heat from some of my subscribers saying that I'm editing or chopping away too fast. I'm trying to slow down a little bit and want to make sure I'm focusing on giving value instead of just me showing off another beat. Now notice I don't have any plugins. There is nothing going on my stereo bus, outputs, effects. There's nothing, there's no plugins, no compression, no EQ, any of that. I don't want to have to use an EQ if I do not need it. If I'm able to tackle this mixing topic with just the right sounds, then later, if I choose to send this off for somebody to mix it, I want him to do as little as possible to my mix because it already sounds finished or completed. I will start adding some effects on the SP404 right here on my master chain. There's some really cool effects that I can put on the overall mix, but I don't engage that until I already have my sample and my drums. I at least have sample and drums together. Then I'll start tapping in and adding something to the overall mix, just so I can have a reference of how this is going to sound with some type of texture, if that's where I want to go to. Cool. I'm going to create a brand new track. I'm gonna make this a drum track, and right here I could either start bringing in some sample chops or just plugging in a plug-in instrument and start adding some keys on top of these drums. Now I'm gonna go into my sampler. I already made a video on how I sample. If you have not watched it, check it out. I'll leave it up here, and I'm gonna start chopping up some samples right here. Yo, that sounds awesome. Look, this is cool because I already have the drums. Everything is done. I already sampled chopping as I was sampling. Now it's just about connecting and having fun with the chops. All right, so we have a little something right here. Now that we have those drums, I don't have to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, that sounds awesome. That sounds perfect the way it already came into the MPC. I want to break that sequence apart. I don't have to follow that. I already have my drums. I want to recreate my own sequence with what I brought in here. I mainly chose this sample because I like the way it sounds. I have 2 bars right here. Since I know I want a sequence of 4 bars, I can just hit this pencil icon, double length that. Now I have 4 bars. Let's go ahead and record that on the grid. All right, just let the beat roll right here, and this is where I can start tapping in, going back to those drums, and maybe adding a different kick. Right there. I actually didn't like how that sounds. Take that off. The cool thing about using one-shots is that I can go into the individual pad and add some sidechain compression. I'm gonna add Mother Ducker on this kick right here. And then on that sample track, I'm gonna go to the entire track and add Mother Ducker. And now I can start going into some plugins. My go-to plugin right now, that's like my favorite plugin to put on the overall mix. And I'm gonna go to the inserts, and lately I've been adding this to most of my mixes. I go to harmonics, MSX audio, low fly dirt. There's this preset right here. Listen to how it sounds as soon as I engage that preset. All right, that's it, guys. Look, it's just a drum track and man, it sounds so awesome, man. Look, I'm sorry, but I enjoy this, and that's what I always say. Sample drums and bass. I can add a bass on top of this, but even if I don't have a bass yet, this is already rocking, man. Like, I'm already jumping into the SP404. Once I jump into the 404 and start engaging some effects, is because I'm locked in. If I never even make it to my 404, is because the beat, I'm trying to find my way with the beat, and I'm like, I just cannot find myself. But once I'm starting to have fun, now these effects that I'm writing, I'm not recording them on to this beat. I'm just having fun. I'm getting a feel for what I'm listening to, but it means that I'm connected. I'm 100% connected. My main takeaway from this video is for you, especially new people, to just take it slow. Do not freak out. Don't see, I know there's so many people on the internet that are just crazy with their drum patterns. I'm not like that. I cannot do no crazy performance, finger drumming with ghost kicks and snares and all that. No, I go step by step. I use the tools within the MPC. I quantize, and then the rest I probably won't quantize, but I use these tools. I don't feel any less of a beat maker if I'm quantizing. Like, I use this to my advantage, because once we start piecing everything together, I love how this sounds. The vibe is there. The sound that I'm going for in my head is all together right here. I just went step by step with you to show you my process. I hope this is helpful. Again, if you need any extra help or guidance with this, let me know. Go down to the course and just sign up as we go through individual steps and have a good time together. Guys, thank you so much for making it to the point of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I'll catch y'all on our next one. Peace.